Well, welcome to another edition of the DC Capstone Report. It's great to be back with you this week. We're so glad that you tune in and listen to us each week. And this is a week that many football fans at Alabama have been waiting for a long time, for a year, back to the Alabama-Auburn rivalry, the Alabama-Auburn game, down on the plains in Auburn, Alabama. This week in the first segment, we're going to review the last game Alabama played against Western Carolina. In the second segment, we're going to name our standout players of the game. And then in the third and final segment, we're going to preview the upcoming game against the Auburn Tigers.
You're listening to the DC Capstone Report. The DC Capstone Report is featured each Tuesday morning on the Martin Houston Show at Tide 100.9. You can listen live at Tide100.9.com.
Well, it's great to be back for another DC Capstone Report. It still amazes Lance and I every week when we check and see how many people have viewed our podcast. We're just amazed by the number of people that tune in each week to listen to us. And we appreciate you. We thank you for doing that. You've been loyal listeners all year long. So hopefully another great podcast this week. So we start off here in the first segment with taking a look at the last game, review of the game against Western Carolina. Well, Alabama came out of there with a great victory, 66-3 over the Western Carolina Catamounts. Really think that Alabama played a good game all around. Did well on offense, defense, and special teams. So Mac Jones got a start in this game due to the injury to Tua Tagovailoa, and Mac Jones played an excellent game. He did a good job hitting his passes, hitting the right person, getting us in the right plays. Knew when to hand the ball off, when to run the ball to the running back, when to throw it. Just did a really good job of that. I was so proud of the performance that he had in this game. Overall on offense, I thought we did a really good job of establishing the run, running the ball really well. Scored a lot of points in this game. Got all of our wide receivers into the game as well, and limited our injuries. We came out of this game, I think, pretty much injury-free, and that's really good because going into this game we had so many injuries. On offense, Henry Ruggs and Tua, of course, were out. They didn't play in this game. Mac Jones did a good job in playing. Talia Tagovailoa got some playing time in this game as well, and so that will help him down the road if he should be called upon, need the backup quarterback down the road. So overall, the game against Western Carolina on the offensively, I thought it was such a good production. Our offensive line did really well. Blocking, we didn't lose much of on the line of scrimmage at all. Seemed to just really be able to hold our own or block really well for the running game, and really good protection in the passing game. Wide receivers did a good job of catching and getting the ball in open space, running with the ball afterwards. Thought on special teams, we didn't punt as well in this game. Thought maybe we'd have a better game punting the ball. We didn't do as well on punting the ball. Joseph Bullis did a good job of kicking. A lot of extra points in this game and a field goal. So overall on special teams, we did a good job of covering and just really did a good job of running the ball, gaining yards on our punts. So on punt returns. So did a good job with that. Defensively, I thought it was one of the better games we played defensively. We were very short-handed on defense. Across the defensive line, you have LeBron Ray that's still out, can't play. We had Raekwon Davis out in this game. Fendarian Mathis was out in this game. Just all across the line of scrimmage, D.J. Dale was out. So we had to play some young players in this game. It was really good to see Ishmael Sofsher getting some play in action as a true freshman. I think he'll get to play in that Western Carolina game, and then the game against Auburn without burning a red shirt. He hasn't played. I think also Braylon Ingram, he played a really good game in this game as a true freshman as well. So really good to see some of our true freshmen get a chance to contribute and play without burning their red shirts, and here at the last season when we really needed them, and give a rest to some of our defensive linemen. Hopefully this game was good to not get any more injuries, and also give some rest to some of our players that get a chance to recoup and really do a good job of resting the players that couldn't play, and have an opportunity for them to get back some playing time this week in practice, hopefully. On the linebackers, Christian Harris played a great game. Shane Lee had another good game. At middle linebacker, Ali Cahoe and Markel Benton got to play a lot in the second half together. And I think our defensive backs did really well. Xavier McKinney really did a good job in this game, both in coverage and being able to intercept the pass. Had a pick six in this game. So the defense overall played really well. I thought we contained them most of the day. They moved the ball some. Maybe a couple of times we had our gaps coverage wrong, and they got to gain a few yards on us. But overall, I thought it was a really good showing by our defensive line, our linebackers, and our secondary all around. So in this game, we come out without many injuries. We got a lot of people hoping to get healthy, and we did a good job of winning the game handily, 66-3. Well, in our second segment of the day, we're going to take a look at the offensive standout players of the game first. First, you have to look at Mac Jones. I thought Mac Jones did a great job of starting in this game at quarterback. He did a good job of playing. He's one of my standout offensive players. I think he threw the ball well. I think he was very accurate. Didn't have any turnovers, and he was able to make great decisions and get us in the right plays. I think Devonta Smith had another major killer game here. He is the most unheralded, underappreciated wide receiver, I think, in Alabama history. He just does a great job. He's overshadowed by Henry Ruggs' speed and Jerry Jeudy's route running, but Devonta Smith is a total package. He ran away from players in this game. He made great routes. He made great catches. And just did an excellent job of playing in this game as well. I think Jalen Waddle, filling in for Henry Ruggs, was another great receiver that had a great game in this game. Just ran away from some of the defenders. So my standout players of the game on offense are Mac Jones, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Waddle. On defense, I've got to give a standout award to Christian Barmore. Christian Barmore has been a favorite player of mine. I thought he would contribute more this year. Something seems to have happened in practice that just doesn't get him to translate his skills to the practice. He plays a lunch better in games. He has made some mistakes at times that caused the coaches to kind of hold him back some. But he had to play in this game because of the injuries up front and really did a good job. His motor runs 100% of the time, and he did a great job getting to the quarterback, making some tackles for loss, some sacks in this game. So Christian Barmore, another one of my defensive players of the week. I also think that Xavier McKinney played a great game. I think that if you look at the way he played this game, probably his best game of the season in the secondary. Intercepted passes, had a pick six, ran back for a touchdown. Was great in coverage. He was great in run support, making tackles. We missed a lot of tackles in that LSU game, and I think he got the message and did a really good job of tackling this game. So very proud of the way Xavier McKinney came back and played a great game in this game. So my standout players of the game on defense are Christian Barmore and Xavier McKinney. And on special teams, I picked Jalen Waddle as an offensive standout for what he did in coming in place of Henry Ruggs, but I have to give Jalen Waddle a special teams player of the week here as far as my standout player. He did a great job running back punts, and just he can flip the field position if he's given just a slight sliver of daylight. He can scoot through there and with his speed really race down the field. So he's really a great punt returner. I think he's just a few yards average of leading the nation in punt returns. He's done such a good job this year. So he is my standout player on special teams. So just to review our standout players of the game on offense, Mac Jones, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Waddle. On defense, Christian Barmore and Xavier McKinney. And on special teams, Jalen Waddle. Well, here in the third and final segment, we're going to take a look at the upcoming game against Auburn. It's what everybody's been wanting to talk about. It's the last game on your schedule. It's a rivalry game. Come down to Alabama versus Auburn. They say in the state of Alabama that you've got to pick a side when you're born. Is it Alabama or Auburn? Just to kind of give you an overview of that, I think that's really true, and several factors that go into that. One is, Alabama doesn't have any professional teams. So you really have to, college is the way to go. And there's two big colleges in the state of Alabama. That is Alabama and Auburn. They're SEC rivals. They're rivals at everything. and the fan bases are so passionate about their players and about their team. And I think that's what sets this up as the greatest rivalry in college football history. So when you talk about the Alabama Auburn rivalry, it's a rivalry that pales in comparison to the others pale in comparison to it. It stands out in my mind above all other rivalries just because of the passionate fan bases and so many things that go into the game. Most of the time, when you come down to the final game of the season for Alabama and Auburn, there's something on the line, and that's no different this year. If Alabama is going to have a chance to make it to the college football playoff, they've got to win at Jordan-Hare Stadium in Auburn against the Auburn Tigers. So Alabama's got a lot to play for in this game. And it's often at times where Alabama or Auburn has a lot to play for in this game. I think that's another reason that this is a big rivalry. I think another reason is they're both in the Western Conference of the SEC, so they play. What they do and how they play makes a difference in their win-loss record. Makes a difference in who goes to the championship most times, who gets in the college football playoff. So I think it's big. The players know it's big. The fan bases know it's big, and it's just one of those things where you have to be here to understand it. I think in this era of football where we're nationally recruiting and we recruit outside the state, this Alabama-Auburn rivalry, a lot of the players who are from out of state don't really understand the rivalry, but it doesn't take them long to get here to realize how big a game this is if you go to play in this game if you're not from here. And I think the last reason that this is a big game is this is something that's bragging rights 365 days of the year. You see Auburn, Alabama fans, they work together, they go to school together, they from middle school, elementary school, all the way up. They're rivals in every area of the state. You see each other 365 days a year bragging rights. So that sets up why this is such a big rivalry. And this year it comes down to this game as the game. Auburn can win this game and put themselves in a good position to go to a good bowl. Auburn can win this game and spoil Alabama's chances to go to the college football playoffs. Auburn is at home, and they've got a great team. Alabama comes in this game with everything to play for. They have to win this game if they have any chance of making it to the college football playoff. Even if they don't make it to the college football playoff by winning this game, it puts them in a better position for a great bowl trip. So it all comes down to this game for both teams. So I think in this game, the keys to victory for Alabama, the number one key to victory for Alabama in this game is going to lie within the offensive line. This game is going to come down to Alabama's offensive line versus Auburn's defensive line. Nick Saban made a statement that people thought was puffing. He said that this Auburn team might be the best team they've played all year. And I think defensively he is correct. This might be the best defensive team that he's played all year. Auburn has held all of their opponents within the 20-point range. The Auburn's problem has been that they can't score enough points to help their defense. So their defense has not been a problem. Across the line of scrimmage, you got Marlon Davidson, Derek Brown, Big Cat Bryant. Those players are notable for their physicality, for their ability to play, good hand placement, good speed, good first step quickness. And they will pose opponents a problem all day long. And they'll propose a problem for Alabama if we cannot control the line of scrimmage. So I think the game is going to be won or lost on the play of who wins this line of scrimmage battle. Is Alabama's offensive line or Auburn's defensive line? It's as simple as that. I think it comes down to that. And in that case, I want to brag on our offensive line a little bit. We stayed pretty healthy in the offensive line. And since we've moved Landon Dickerson to center, we've seemed to gel. I think Landon Dickerson brings a great amount of passion, aggressiveness, nastiness, if you will, to the offensive line. And he has helped elevate the game of those around him. So when you got Jedrick Wills, who I believe has played his best games, each game ahead has been his best game. He's improved every game. You got him at one tackle, you got Alex Leatherwood at the other tackle. Then you got Evan Neal, a true freshman who's really learned a lot playing along beside Landon Dickerson. And then you got Deontay Brown at the other tackle. That line, if they're healthy and can play in this game, can play a full game, I believe that line is what's going to give us the advantage over the Auburn Tigers. Now, Auburn is great. They're good. But I don't believe they've faced an offensive line as good as Alabama's. And if we play within ourselves, we play to a standard of Alabama football, and we play with passion, but we don't play so emotionally that we get out of control, I think we're going to have a chance to really do well in this game. So I think the number one thing is our offensive line play is going to set up the game. The second thing I believe is we got to run the ball to set up the pass. I believe Auburn is acceptable to play action passes. I believe Kevin Steele's defense loves to blitz, loves to affect the quarterback, loves to run blitz and stop the run, stop the gaps. And I believe they sell out sometimes. So if we can catch them in the selling out position of the run blitz and do that oh so well play action pass game that we can do, that Steve Sarkisian can call just like he did with the Atlanta Falcons. I think we have a chance to hit big plays deep to Jerry Jeudy, Devonta Smith, and Henry Ruggs III and Jalen Waddle. I think our playmakers stack up really well against the wide receivers. With the secondary core, our wide receivers stack up really good against their secondary. I believe one of their starting safeties is going to be out the first half, so I think we can take advantage of that. But in order to do that, we're going to have to run the ball well to get their safeties to creep up and try to stop the run. So I believe Najee Harris is going to be important. So our line is going to be important. Najee Harris is going to be important. Mac Jones is going to have to be a good game manager in this game. I don't believe he needs to do anything to try to win this game. He just needs to rely on his playmakers, get the ball out in space, short passing game, and then occasionally hit the ball over the top when it's there. But as long as he can be a good game manager, the third thing we need him to do is just manage his game well. And finally, the fourth thing, I think a key to victory would be to limit our mistakes and turnovers. We can't turn the ball over and waste possessions against this Auburn defense. We're going to have to capitalize and score when we're in the red zone. We can't turn the ball over. We're going to have to score as much as we can. And Auburn's going to be tough on that. They've been tough on every team they've played. I don't think any team has scored in the 30s against them. I believe they've held the teams under 30 points. So we're going to have to really, really do well in that area. On defense, I believe we're going to have to affect the quarterback. We're going to have to affect Patrick Nix. He's not very effective when he gets pressure. So if we can get pressure on him, I believe he can make some mistakes. I believe he'll throw some interceptions. He'll cause some problems. And if we can get some turnovers in this game, I believe we'll be able to score either on defense or score on a short field against this Auburn defense. I think in the end, Alabama goes in there and they play with passion. They play within themselves to the standard of Alabama football. I believe this is the game that we see Alabama get back to the Alabama factor, and that starts with our offensive line imposing their will on the defense. On the defensive line. I believe when our defense sees our offensive line playing so hard against that great Auburn defense, it'll encourage them, it'll help them to play as well against the Auburn offense. I think Alabama, it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be one in the trenches. Field goal kicking may be important in this game, extra points. Every point possible we can get is going to be important. So we're going to have to be hitting on all cylinders to go in there at Auburn and win this game. But I believe we got it in us. I believe we're going to play our best game, and we're going to show the College Football Playoff Committee and all others about what the Alabama factor is all about. So at the end, I think Alabama comes out a victory, and I believe Alabama scores in the 30s. And I think the final score is going to be Alabama 34, Auburn 24. Well, after this game, Alabama wins this game. What happens next? I think we have to sit back and wait. All Alabama can do is win the game against Auburn. Some other chips have fallen. We said last week some things have to happen. Well, Oregon has gotten beat. So I think Oregon plays Utah. They're probably going to fall in that 6th category under Alabama. I think Oregon has a good chance to beat Utah and give them 2 losses. So that leaves Oklahoma as probably the other 1-loss team. And I believe they've still got a tough road ahead against Oklahoma State and Baylor. So there could be some things happen there. Can Ohio State get beat? Sure, Michigan in the Big House can beat Ohio State. That's possible. I think LSU wins the rest of their ball games. And if they beat Georgia, that knocks out another team that's ahead of Alabama. the field is wide open then for Alabama to step in that fourth spot in the college football playoff. So I see a scenario, I see a path for Alabama to get there. But the number one thing that has to happen is Alabama has got to defeat Auburn Saturday, and that should be the only thing that's on our minds right now is beating Auburn. And I think they will. Well, until next time, this is DC with the DC Capstone Report. I thank you all for listening. Until next time, when you tune in, roll Tide.